Hey, it's me, MLB. Here is chapter 12 of Chance Ball, and this one is titled In His Care. You waited impatiently inside the local bubble tea shop, the shop that you and Dabi had planned to meet at once he was out of hospital. Your breath caught in your throat when you saw him walk around the corner and up to the door. Ooh, is it just me or has he gotten more good looking? He entered and looked around for you, his turquoise eyes finally finding you, and you gave him a small smile and a wave. With his signature smirk, he sauntered over to you, his unwavering gaze ripping through your soul. Ugh, God, he has a way with that stare. You thought as you fought the urge to bite your bottom lip. He pulled up just in front of you and you shrank back a bit, worried that staying too close would put him off. How are you feeling? You asked mechanically. Fine, he replied, still staring down at you. You blinked and looked away, wringing your hands together. What's the matter, Ian? You nervous? He asked with a coy smirk. No, why would I be nervous? You lied, still peering into the distance. His rich chuckle caressed your ears, and he leaned down and placed a hand either side of where you were leant up backwards against the table. Look at me then, he said lowly, his voice causing a damn uproar in your core. You took a steadying breath in and turned your face to look at him, setting a determined look in your eye and channeling your best I won't back down attitude. Dabi stayed where he was, his gaze switching to look from your left eye, then right eye, then a quick glance at your lips before back up to your eyes again. Your heart rate kicked up a notch, and you could feel your pulse behind your eyes. Oh, he smirked. Did you want that? He asked teasingly. Want what? You asked, faking an angry tone. A kiss, he said, licking his own bottom lip. You hesitated. You didn't want to say yes, but you also didn't want to say no. What made you say that? You asked, deflecting the question. I saw how you melted when I looked at your lips just then, Dabi said, full of sly confidence. He leaned in a little bit closer, and you could feel his hot breath against your cheek. I know you want it, he whispered erotically, and your body almost gave in to him. Quickly you ducked and slipped out from where he had you bailed up against the table. Nah, you said, trying to play it cool. I don't want a kiss from you. You walked to the cafe door, yearning to get outside for some damn fresh air. Man, you couldn't breathe properly. You were so turned on by Dabi it almost made you sick. I'm supposed to be hating him right now, you growled internally at yourself. Dabi wasn't going to let you get away that easily because he could read your body language, and he knew that he had you right where he wanted. So he followed you out and grabbed you from behind, wrapping his arms around you and hoisting you up in the air. Put me down, asshole! You yelled, struggling to get out of his firm grip. You didn't want to punch him or hurt him in any way because he'd only just been released from hospital, and you knew he had been pretty heavily beat up. He set you down and turned you around, pulling you in for a tight hug. Let me go! You screamed into his chest, your muffled cries of indignation being thoroughly ignored by Dabi. Yin, I'm sorry, he said plainly. You stopped struggling and pulled your head back to look at him. What? I said, I'm sorry, he repeated, still in a monotone voice. You don't sound frickin' sorry, you retorted. He sighed heavily. No, I am. I'm sorry for hurting you. I'm sorry for making you cry, and most of all, I'm sorry for letting you go. You buried your head back into his chest and bawled, the words you wanted to hear the most, caressing your ears like the sweetest melody. He didn't try and say anything else at that point, but just stroked the back of your head while you cried into him. I'm not good at opening up, but long story short, I caught my dad cheating on my mum, and he tried to silence me by threatening to burn me alive. He almost did. His voice trailed off as the painful memories flooded back. He was going to be released from prison on Monday, and I was going to have to go under witness protection for my life's sake. They told me to cut ties with everyone I knew. That's why I had to call it off between us. But trust me, I didn't want to. You sniffed heavily, listening to his story. He's going to be put away for good now, and I don't have to go anywhere, Dabi added, dropping the hint that he wasn't leaving anymore. Your crying eased as you connected the dots. Is he reconciling? You looked back up at him, silent tears still streaming down your cheeks. He looked down softly at you and wiped your tears away. I was wondering if maybe... Maybe what? You pushed quickly, praying that you would both be on the same wavelength. I could pick things up where we left off, he said, a gentleness in his voice, a tone which you had never heard before. Aw, you're going soft on me, Dabi, you teased. He slipped his hands to your waist and roughly pulled your hips into his. I can be more rough if you like, he growled lowly, craning his head down to nibble but just below your ear. You gasped at his sudden move and turned your head to lock lips with his. It had been a week since you'd kissed him and your body was hungry for his mouth. You kissed passionately for a good few minutes before pulling away. Dabi, your kisses are terrible. They've gotten worse since you're in hospital, you teased cheekily. Oh, have they? Well, maybe I should make up for lost time then, he said, grabbing you and hoisting you up over his shoulder. You screamed and giggled as he lifted you up, all tears and sorrow now forgotten. Where are we going? You shrieked as he started walking off down the footpath. To your room. You've been running your mouth. I'm going to plug it with my 10-inch. Stop! We're in public! You perverted man! You yelled in embarrassment. Dabi chuckled. Don't worry, you'll love it. You never change, do you? You sighed, giving in and laughing, happy beyond belief that you were back together again, and this time, hopefully, for forever. Ugh, what to do with this guy, my guy, you thought with a massive grin as Dabi strolled off down the street, with you still over his shoulder. Weeks passed and Dabi had started to settle down again. He'd go through spells of quietness where you knew he was thinking about what had happened with his father, but that arsehole was back behind bars for good now, so Dabi or you needn't worry about him again. Oi, hotshot captain, you ready for the game against Ubagawa High? You jeered as you sauntered past your boyfriend on the way to class. He reached out and grabbed your arm, turning you and firmly pushing your back up against the lockers, pinning you there. You ready to reward me when we win? He shot back with a devious smirk. Oh, you want chocolates coins again, baby? You replied in a teasingly condescending baby voice. I'm more into fruit, Yin. You should know me by now. He said as he lowered his lips to your right ear. I'm into cherries, remember? The heat from his breath sent a tingle through you and resided in your core. You bit your lip reflexively. You know how I like to pop yours. He breathed seductively. You blushed heavily as his free hand wandered to your side and then made its way down your school skirt, bunching it slightly. Have you no shame? You growled lowly. I'm sure everyone here would love to see the show we could put on. Your face when I make you is something else, he said as he licked the tip of your ear. You had to focus really hard on not letting a breathy moan slip from your lips. Honestly, this guy just had a way with you like no one else. Unhand me, you sexed fiend, or I'll chop your hand off and shove it up your ass, you said lowly, your eyes locking onto his with defiance. I love a feisty girl. He chuckled lowly as he let you go. You act like you didn't like that, but I know you, Yin. He added as he turned to go, throwing you a wink with those iridescent turquoise eyes. Ugh. Get me gently with a chainsaw, I think I just came. You thought as you watched him go, your back still pressed up against the locker. Rarely did Dabi let his guard down enough to show you his true vulnerabilities, but you'd seen them enough to know that deep down he was just a big kid that needed lots of love and cuddles. You also knew that even through all the ups and downs you two had, you were a rock for him, and he needed you to keep him grounded. You coming to perv on me while I practice this afternoon? Dabi asked you casually at lunchtime as he sat drinking from a juice popper. I can't take you seriously when you ask a question like that, drinking from a kid's drink, you snorted. Would this make it a more serious question if I did this? Dabi asked again, standing up and walking around in front of you. He continued to casually suck on the straw of the juice popper and slowly pulled his school shirt up to reveal his lean, toned torso that was littered with burns and scars, but damn, he was hot as hell. He smirked as he watched your eyes travel his body greedily. You want to come and see this again, don't you? He teased. Come and watch me practice and I'll keep my shirt off. He coaxed in a provocative tone. Meh, I could take it or leave it, you lied, as you looked away to show disinterest. Okay, you leave me no choice. Time to pull out the main event, Dabi said with a dramatic sigh as he started to undo his belt and zip his trousers down. Your head whipped back around and your startled gaze fell on him as he started to drop his pants. Dabi, stop! What are you doing? You screeched, jumping up and holding his pants up. Oh, you don't want to have a play? He teased. Not now, you idiot, you hissed. We're at school and everyone is around. I don't care, he said lowly. I do, you shot back. That's my play toy. Oh, is it now? He leered. I like it when you get possessive and call it yours. You're so cute, Yin, he said as he wrapped his arms around your waist and pulled you into him, juice popper still hanging out of his mouth by the straw. I'll come and watch you play if you pull your pants up, you ass, you growled playfully. Done deal. Then after practice you can pull them down again, he said lowly with a mischievous smirk. Ugh, you're the worst, you laughed. Don't mind, Dabi called to one of his teammates as he missed a return during practice that afternoon. You were posted up in the stands watching a man play, and he had kept his promise and kept his shirt off, which you were most happy about. Ubagawa High were fierce rivals of Nekoma High, and they had had many run-ins before, with Ubagawa High coming out on top most of the time. But Nekoma had been practicing daily and were improving immensely. You were confident Nekoma would win this time. Okay, boys, that's enough for today, the coach called as he blew the whistle to signal the end of practice. Dabi called his team together to give a little pep talk before breaking, and you left the stands to come down and meet him on the courts. You want to stay back and practice with me a bit? Dabi asked as you approached. I need to work on some of my already amazing skills. You snorted. When you can jump to the height of your ego, then I'll be impressed. I'm the humblest guy on this earth. There's no one as humble as me, Dabi said with a grand gesture. Yeah, you sound super humble, you retorted, turning and walking over to the ball trolley. Hey babes, let's make a wager, Dabi called as you walked to the trolley and pulled out a ball. What kind? You asked, tossing the ball up and catching it. Let's do a one-on-one game. If you win, I'll take you out for dinner. If I win, we get married. Married? You yelled in surprise. We're in high school, you dabbing fool. We can't get married. Dabi looked a little hurt. I'm actually kind of serious. You looked at him in shock. Jace, the hormones, my goodness. Chapter 13 coming tomorrow. I'll see you then.